Hello, everyone. I hope you all are doing amazing. I am Hamad Nadeem Khan, and I'm here with my colleague William. And we're going to be presenting our webinar on quoting and contract automation in Dynamics 365 sales using Acadia Dynamic Templates. So, today we're going to be talking about something that comes up in almost every sales organization using Dynamics 365 for quoting and contract generation, specifically how we can automate the entire process using Acadia Dynamic Templates directly inside Dynamics 365 sales. The goal here isn't just automation for the sake of it, it's about speed, accuracy, and giving sales teams flexibility without breaking governance. Here's a quick look at what we'll cover today. Moving on. Next slide, please. Yeah. So starting with the impact alignment, first we have the business objectives. At a high level, these are the outcomes organizations are trying to achieve. They want to generate accurate, data-driven codes and contracts directly from Dynamics without copying data into Word or Excel. They want faster sales cycles, support for complex code structures, and the ability to maintain governance while still empowering business users. That balance, control, and flexibility is really the core theme of the solution. Please go back to that slide. And now let's talk about the reality most teams face today. Out of the box, Word templates in Dynamics are static, they're hard to change, and they don't adapt well to different deal types. Sales teams end up manually pulling data from codes, line items, accounts, and contracts, and then reformatting everything in Word. Even small template changes often require admin or developer involvement, which slows everything down. But with Acadia, however, we have dynamic templates with live data from Dataverse. User templates to control the document structure, automated generation via Power Automate, Word Online-based collaboration, and document storage, and versioning back with SharePoint. But all of these challenges that we talked about create real business impact, and proposals turnaround times increase, errors creep in, pricing inconsistencies happen, and sales and legal teams spend way too much time on document prep. The bigger the deal or the more complex the pricing, the worse this problem becomes. Moving on to the industries that are most impacted by this problem, especially visible in industries with complex sales models. Manufacturing deals with BOM-driven pricing and large multi-line codes. Construction and fire and security have site-based pricings, phase scopes, and compliance requirements. These aren't simple one-page codes. They're structured, detailed documents that need flexibility. And with our solution vision, next slide. With our solution vision, this is where Acadia comes in. Acadia is a dynamic document automation engine that generates proposals and contracts directly from Dynamics 365 sales using live Dataverse data. Instead of static templates, you get dynamic configurable documents that adapt to each deal. With Acadia, documents are generated automatically from code records, fully customer ready. You can configure the structure of each document per deal using user templates. So sections like pricing, subscriptions, or technical scope can be included or excluded dynamically. Everything is generated in Word Online, stored in SharePoint, and managed entirely within the Dynamics ecosystem. So let's move on with the architecture of Acadia contract automation. So from an architecture perspective, this stays very clean and very Microsoft native. Dynamics 365 Sales remains the system of record. Dataverse provides structured data access. Acadia handles the template logic and field mappings. Power Automate orchestrates document generation, and Word Online and SharePoint handle collaboration and storage. So visually, this is how everything connects. Data flows from Dynamics and Dataverse into Acadia Dynamics templates. Power Automate triggers the generation. Documents are created in Word Online and stored in SharePoint, all without leaving Dynamics. Let's move forward. Now, let's talk about how this is actually configured. We'll walk through 4 steps: creating a dynamic template, then mapping Dataverse fields, configuring user templates, and generating documents directly from code records. So let's start with the first step. So the first step in this whole process is creating a dynamic template. Now, if you look at the challenge first, traditional Word templates in Dynamics are very static. Once they're created, they don't adapt well to the complex code structures. especially if you have multiple sections, tables, or conditional content. On top of that, even small updates like changing a section layout or adding a new field often requires technical effort, which slows the team down. What Acadia does differently is that it lets you create a dynamic template directly in Acadia, starting with your existing Word document. You upload the base document and then you edit it directly in Word Online. The same interface everyone is already familiar with. Placeholders for data are added right there inside the document instead of being handled through custom code. The big benefit here is control and simplicity. Templates are centrally managed, the setup is business friendly, and even complex documents can be configured much faster without relying on developers every time something changes. Second step is mapping Dataverse fields. And this is where most errors usually happen in traditional processes. The challenge today is that the sales teams manually copy data from codes, line items, accounts, and contacts into Word documents. That not only takes time, but it also creates a high risk of data inconsistency, especially when you're dealing with multiple entities and complex pricings. With Acadia, this entire steps becomes structured and automated. Placeholders that we added in the dynamic template are now mapped directly to Dataverse fields. So whether it's code level data, line items values, or account details or contact information, everything is pulled directly from Dynamics 365. Acadia uses template mappings to control how that data flows in the document, which is especially important for tables, repeating line items, and multi-entity relationships. The benefit here is accuracy and consistency. Documents are populated with real-time data, outputs remain consistent across deals, and manual errors are significantly reduced even as documents become more complex. So now this is where flexibility really comes in. The next step is configuring user templates, and this is how Acadia handles deal-to-deal variation. The challenge with traditional templates is that one size rarely fits every deal. Sales teams end up requesting frequent section level changes or worse, duplicating templates, which increases maintenance. With Acadia, user templates are linked to a single dynamic template and allow users to simply select which sections, tables, or columns they want to include for a specific deal. This means documents can be tailored per opportunity without changing the base template. The result is deal-specific flexibility, fewer templates to manage, and no dependency on developers, all controlled by the business. Sorry. And then the final step is generating and previewing documents. And this is where everything comes together. Traditionally, documents assembly is manual, which delays deal cycles, requires repeated formatting, and limits collaboration across teams. But with Acadia, documents are generated directly from the code record. Templates and Dataverse mappings are applied automatically, and the document opens instantly in Word Online. Sales, legal, and operation teams can review and edit this in real time without downloading the files or leaving Dynamics. This result is under 1 minute document generation, real-time collaboration, and faster and more accurate deal execution. From here on out, I would like my colleague William to take over.
Thanks. So now we're going to briefly start by covering a document generation journey. So if we zoom out, what we see on screen is the full journey. We'll begin with a sales opportunity and quote being created in Dynamics 365 Sales. And then we'll go to select document structure. So the sales users are able to select a user template that defines which sections they want, tables they want, and any components that they desire to appear in the document. After which Acadia's Dynamic Templates pulls real-time data from quotes, line items, accounts, and contacts using predefined field mappings, similar to what my colleague Hamad was just talking about. And then we'll go into the system generating a complete Word document using Word Online, applying conditional sections and formatted tables automatically. And finally, reviewing, storing, and sharing that document in SharePoint embedded in Dynamics 365, ready for review, editing, download, or sharing. Overall, we're looking at faster deal turnaround with full visibility and accuracy. This way, we can get into the actual kind of demo for today. And in this video, we're going to showcase really briefly how all this document generation works from a quote. Before getting into it, I'd like to just point out this is the Dynamics 365 Sales Hub that's built on Microsoft's Power Platform, and it is fully accessible with existing Microsoft credentials, so giving you that extra layer of familiarity when it comes to using this platform. On the left-hand side, we have several options to view, say quotes and orders and invoices, as well as you can view documents and other items that you need. But most importantly, in the middle of the screen, we see an example quote that we have for today, an installation quote for the Department of Fire Alarm Monitoring. And we see the opportunity in the customer fields, as well as who owns this and the subgrid of what items have been included in this quote. For each item, we see the name, quantity, the cost, and the units. Without further ado, I could go ahead and play this video. I'll briefly touch on what's happening. So to begin, what we simply do to generate a document is click the Generate Document button. And from here, we're led to this decision tree where we're able to select or deselect which sections we want included in our final document. And these are all sort of predefined sections that oftentimes get included into the generated documents, but based on the scenario and document you're trying to generate, obviously, each document will have different sections. So you're able to go in and select your main and subsections. And depending on all that, you'll click on Confirm, and the system takes all that information and generates your document for you based on what sections you selected. So we can go under the Doc Files tab, click into the example document that we just generated, and view that here. We're able to see all the sections now clearly listed, as well as, for example, the project investment, financial summary, reporting fees, and all these headers just as we selected within that decision tree. We also see at the very end a total proposal amount, which gives us a very good view of this entire quote and how much the proposed cost would be. Moving on, I can go on to the next slide here. We're going to touch on the limitations and best practices. Specifically, it's important to briefly talk about these, specifically the limitations of Word Online and how we design around them. Now, while Word Online works very well for collaboration, it does have some constraints. Advanced layout controls limited, and things like custom macros or content controls may not always render correctly. Also, dynamic fields aren't supported in headers, footers, or text boxes, which ultimately can catch teams off guard if they're not aware of it up front. In order to handle all this, we follow a set of best practices that have been proven to work. We use Dataverse relationships for accurate multi-entity data mapping instead of hard-coding logic. We also maintain separate template versions where branding or business unit differences are required, and we use clear, consistent placeholder naming so templates remain readable and easy to manage. We're also validating mappings using sample records before rolling anything out to sales. And for more complex layouts, we finalize the formatting in Word Desktop while keeping the files stored in SharePoint so it continues to work seamlessly with Acadia and Dynamics. Following all these best practices helps ensure that the templates stay stable, scalable, and production ready for your teams. Now we're going to quickly touch on a real-world example, specifically with the fire and security sector. Let me quickly ground this with a real-world example from the fire and security sector. Specifically, this organization we worked with had highly complex proposals, hundreds of field mappings, and strict compliance requirements. Now, before Acadia, each proposal they had was taking anywhere between 45 to 60 minutes of manual effort just to process. Data had to be pulled from multiple places, jumping between different platforms. For example, Excel sheets to emails and different systems, and then all of them had to be stitched together in Word manually. Because of that, their teams were constantly reformatting documents, fixing inconsistencies, and double-checking data, which slowed down the entire sales cycle. Upon using Acadia, the organization is able to now have configured 10 dynamic document templates and implemented hundreds of Dataverse field mappings across proposals and contracts. Document generation was also fully automated directly from Dynamics 365 Sales, with data flowing straight from Dataverse into the documents. The impact was quite immediate. We're looking at document generation dropping to under 1 minute, data accuracy improving significantly, and teams being now able to collaborate in real time using Word Online. Today, they're generating over 200 documents every month with consistency, compliance, and far less operational effort. So really giving them that scalability that they were looking for as well. And so just to wrap things up for today's webinar, here are some key takeaways I wanted to cover. First, Acadia enables end-to-end document automation directly inside Dynamics 365 Sales, eliminating manual formatting and offline work. Second, dynamic templates and user templates give teams full control over document structure, sections, and mappings without sacrificing governance. And third, it's built for collaboration. By using Word Online, teams are able to review and edit documents in real time without leaving the Dynamics workspace. We're really trying to centralize everything here into one platform so you don't have to jump between any systems. And finally, by leveraging Dataverse relationships, Acadia ensures consistent and accurate data at scale across quotes, accounts, contacts, and line items. With all that said, we do have here included some recommended resources for those of you who are interested. But without further ado, if there are any questions, we'd love to go over them right now. Seeing as there are none right now, thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, William.